So these pair of nightstands I got gifted to me from a young couple that just got married. This was his furniture and she wanted it gone, which I completely understand. So the first thing I did, obviously, is just take the hardware off, and I cleaned everything. I labeled the drawers, and I just labeled which nightstand they went into. I gave one the name left and one the name right, and then did like left drawer, left cabinet door, right left cabinet door, so on and so forth. Collected all my hardware, labeled the doors, and then just gave everything a good clean with a degreaser. And then I just went over that with warm water just to rinse them off. And I really got to know these nightstands, got to see where I needed things fixed. And then I still couldn't decide what I was going to do with them yet. So I just started sanding the top, kind of wanted to see what was underneath. And then I scuff sanded the sides and everything else. All those grooves and everything, I did like one brush with the sander, and then I just no, I should probably hand sand these in case I curve something or knock a soft edge off or whatever. And then started sanding, and there was some nice grain underneath there, as you can see through the stain. This one turned out really nicely, but I didn't love the grain on the other one. It kind of felt like it was going all over the place. And I obviously sanded it anyways because I needed them to match, but I wasn't loving it as much. So still wasn't sure what I was going to do at that point. And then I just scuff sanded by hand the drawers and the doors because of all the grooves there. And I didn't want to risk going over it with my sander. And then I just wiped them all down, measured my hardware holes, look at me go. And then I decided to paint it this nice soiree, I believe it was called. So this is the first coat. I decided I wanted to do a distressed look. So I did not prime it underneath because I felt like I was just going to take some off anyways. And over time, they're just going to look a little bit more vintagey. And I feel like the times I haven't primed before, the paint holds up pretty nicely because I seal it quite well. So I was okay with doing no primer. So I did one coat over the drawers, the nightstands, the doors, so on and so forth, just to see my coverage. That's one coat. And then I hate doing these doors. I just hate doing the curved edges. And then this is the second coat of paint that I'm putting on. Obviously a lot better coverage. I think I did 3 coats overall. And you can't really see it, but there is a design on those nightstands there. So I was debating how can I pull that out. I had some black wax, and that's what I ended up doing. So this is my first time working with black wax. I researched it a ton, and they say to go over it with clear wax first so that your black wax is easier to take off. So I did that clear wax, and then I was so careful with this black wax because I was not sure if I could get it off after. Turns out it comes off so easy. So I went over it a bunch of times with more and more and more wax. And wiping off the clear, wiping off the black, it was a really easy thing to work with. And I was feeling quite intimidated to start because you just don't want to ruin all the paint that you just did, right? So went with this vintagey kind of look and just accented those dark grooves and kind of pulled out the dimension a little bit more. And I ended up really loving it. For the first time, I think I did all right, to be honest with you. Again, I was pretty cautious with it. So actually, I did the clear wax on that one, so you can kind of see how soft that black is. You can barely see it. And then this one, there's nothing on it yet. So there's kind of the contrast there. And I think I did that is before I wiped it off. And I did that quite a lot just because I wanted to pull out more and more black. So instead of going super heavy with it at first, I did it really light so that if I messed up, I'd be okay. And then I was so nervous to do this, but I did the black wax to try to pull it out. And then I wiped it off as best I could. And then I went with clear wax again over top. And then that clear wax grabs onto all the black wax in the places I didn't want it and pulls it off. So I always heard people say wax reactivates wax. So if I needed to get that black wax off, I just put clear wax on, and it worked really well. So then I did all of the nightstand tops and the bottoms as well where the grooves are. I loaded it on this time because I learned from the drawers, started with something small, and so I just loaded on. I left it sit for longer as well. I think I did 4 or 5 minutes. Sometimes I just forgot about it. And then this one has nothing on it. So then you can kind of like see the contrast there. So I hadn't done that one yet. And then here I'm wiping it off. And they said to do it like not aggressively, but just kind of like dust it off. So I very lightly just brushed it to get the like super dark wax off, and then just made it look the way that I wanted it to look. And I probably did it like a few times just to get the desired look, and I went over the corners as well. And so I did the tops and I did the bottoms, and I didn't do anywhere else on the body besides the design that you saw. I just didn't feel like it needed it. So yeah, so I just did the grooves and wiped it off slightly. I really liked how the finished look is. In hindsight, I should have done the top first and taped the sides, but you know, live and learn. And so this is it all put together. I did try to do brown and white, see which one I liked better. With the hardware, I couldn't decide. I ended up going with white because I thought it would sell faster. But yeah, so this is how they finished up. I really like it. I think the black accented it really well. It's really subtle. The drawers I left untouched. They were in pretty great condition. What do you think?